Hello, sports fans. Thank you so much for joining us for this lecture 3 of the Cricket South Africa Level 1 umpiring course hosted by Western Province Cricket Umpires Association. My name is Abdullah Steenkamp and my batting partner for this evening will be Tom Mukarosi. The format of tonight's lecture will be as follows. I will kick off with laws 12, 13, 14 and 15. I'll then take a single and over the strike to Tom. Tom will then cover laws 16, 17 and 18. And again, while the two of us are presenting, if there are any questions, please put them in the chat box and please keep the questions content related. Tom will first go through the questions in the chat box and when we reach our Q&A session. And if you still need clarity on anything or have further questions, you can raise your virtual hand and Tom will attend to your questions in the Q&A session. So to kick off with Law 12. And again, this course, we're focusing on the laws of cricket, and the laws of cricket focuses on more day cricket, like a test match which spans over 5 days. Here in South Africa, we play provincial cricket gets played over 4 days. Some provincial competition gets played over 3 days. So yes, focusing on more day cricket, not a 20 over game or a 50 over game. So Law 12 tells us exactly in more day cricket, like a test match, how do we start play? How do we end play? Let's first see how we start play. So in a test match, let's use South Africa, Zimbabwe as an example. Game starts at 10 o'clock on day 1. Toss takes place at 9:30 and we'll cover the toss in today's lecture. Let's say South Africa wins the toss and they decide to bat. Play starts at 10 o'clock. So to make sure that the first ball gets bowled at 10 o'clock, the umpires will take the field first. The two umpires, let's say Tom and I are the umpires, at 9:55, we will take the field. We will then go to our respective ends. After us, the fielding side will then take the field. And then the two batters will take the field. Umpires, they will go to their respective ends. Fielding side will decide who's going to bowl the first over and which end they're going to bowl from. The two batters, they then decide who's going to face the first ball. So as the captain gets the field ready, batters will then take guard. The umpire at the bowler's end will give the batter guard. Let's say now we're about 9:59. Bowlers in umpire will first check with the scorers that they are ready. Check with his or her colleague that they ready. Ask the fielding captain, you ready? Batter, striker, you ready? And then at 10 o'clock, the bowlers in umpire will call play, will verbally call play. So you'll call play, and that verbal call of play will indicate the start of the match. So after the call of play, the bowler that's opening the bowling will then deliver the first ball. So call of play to happen at the start of the game. Also, after any interval, the call of play also to happen. Let's say our lunch is at 12 o'clock in our test match. Lunch is 40 minutes, so 12:40 when play will restart after lunch. To indicate that play restart after lunch, the bowlers in umpire will call play. And the same principle will apply after an interruption. So now we know how we start the match or how we start a session or how we start a day's play. So how do we end a day's play or how do we end a session? The law guides us and tell us Here the bowler's in, umpire needs to call time, verbally call it. You call out time when the ball is dead, and the call of time indicates the end of either the day's play or before an interval. The call of time will now indicate that we'll either need to take our tea interval or our lunch interval, or at an interruption, or at the end of the game. So now we know how to start the game or a session. We also now know how we end a session or a day's play, or even at the end of the game. As soon as the bowler's in, umpire calls time, the law tells us, please remove the bails from both wickets. Give you an example. Let's say our test match started at 10 o'clock. Lunches will be at 12 o'clock. So when you get to 12 o'clock, the final ball of the over gets bowled. Umpire then look at user watch, sees at 12 o'clock, final ball gets bowled. Umpire will now call over time and will indicate to the players that it is now lunch. The bowler's in umpire then needs to remove the bails from the bowler's in, and the striker's in umpire will do exactly the same. So bails needs to be removed from both ends. So in our test matches have 2-hour sessions. So play will start at 10, and they will lunch will be at 12 o'clock. A 40-minute lunch, so there'll be a 2-hour session in the morning. After lunch, there'll be another 2-hour session, and then we'll have our tea break for 20 minutes. And after our 20-minute tea break, there'll be another 2-hour session. And these are the sessions for test matches. So now in these 2-hour sessions, the fielding side needs to try to bowl as many overs as they can. So now at times, and we know, let's say lunch is at 12 o'clock. So now you get to, and we know an over usually takes about 4 minutes to bowl. So now we know lunch is at 12 o'clock, and now we get to 11:59. So now, do we take another over? Don't we take another over? So the law guides us. The law tells us, yes, because it's 11:59 and lunch is only at 12 o'clock, you cannot take lunch yet. So what you need to do is, you call over at 11:59. Now the umpire needs to walk at normal pace, not a brisk walk, not running. The umpires, the normal pace. And if the striker's in umpire gets to behind the stumps at the bowler's end before 12 o'clock is reached, we will take another over. If the umpire does not get behind the bowler's in the stumps at the bowler's end, if the umpire does not get to the stumps at the bowler's end and 12 o'clock has been reached, we will take lunch. Other than at the end of the game, the law wants an over to be completed. There is a but, and we'll get to the but later in the slide. So if you've reached the agreed time for your lunch interval and there are still balls to be bowled, you cannot take your over. You first need to complete the over. And this happens many a times in modern day cricket. We know, let's say our lunch is at 12 o'clock. We get to 12 o'clock and we've bowled 2 balls in the over. So it's 12 o'clock now, so do we take lunch? No, the law tells us no, please don't take lunch. First complete the over. There are 4 balls left, so you first need to complete the 4 balls. And once you've bowled the 6 balls in the over, then you can call over time and lunch. There is an exception, and we'll get to it now. So we got to 12 o'clock and only 2 balls was bowled. I've just said we now need to continue bowling. We need to complete the 4 balls. So let's say we get to 3 minutes past 12 and now we've bowled the 6 legal delivery in the over. So now the umpire calls at 3 minutes past 12 over time and lunch. So now we know lunch is 40 minutes. So our lunch will be from 12:03 till first ball after lunch needs to be bowled at 12:43. There is an exception, as I mentioned. What is that exception? That exception is if with less than 3 minutes to go to the interval, either a batter's dismissed or a batter retires or players needs to leave the field during their over. What will then happen is we will take the interval immediately. So if the interval was interrupted, let's say mid-over, when play resumes after the interval, we will first complete the over and then start a new over. I'll give an example to illustrate what law 12.5.2 is trying to tell us. We know our lunch is at 12 o'clock. At 11:58, let's say Zimbabwe is batting. At 11:58, Zimbabwe is 160 for 2. Excuse me. 11:58 on the third ball of the over, South Africa takes a wicket. South Africa takes the fourth wicket. So now 11:58, a wicket falls. It's now 2 minutes to go to lunch. So now what do? And the law guides us, the law tells us, if a wicket falls with less than 3 minutes to go, and in our example, with the wicket falling at 11:58, so that there is now 2 minutes to go until lunchtime. Now the law tells us, please take your lunch. Don't let the new batter come in. Take lunch. Yes, we took lunch at 11:58. We know lunch is at 40 minutes, so we technically took lunch 2 minutes earlier. So the first ball after lunch needs to be bowled at 12:38. So the wicket fell on the third ball of the over. So when play resumes after lunch at 12:38, the 3 balls of that over first needs to be completed. And after the 3 balls are bowled, then a new over to be started. In modern cricket, like Test match cricket, there is this concept called the last hour of the match. And the law wants a certain number of overs to be bowled in the last hour. So for level 1, I'm just mentioning this so that you are aware that there is this concept of a last hour of a match and a certain number of overs needs to be bowled in the last hour. For those of you that's going to do level 2 and level 3 with us, we're going to go into much more detail with regards to the last hour in our level 2 and our level 3 courses later this year. But for now, just remember, there is this concept in modern cricket, and that is called the last hour of the match. And I'll give you an example. In our 5-day test match, you will find the last hour of the match on the last day of our test match. So test matches spans over 5 days. So the last hour of the match in a test match can be found on day number 5. So test match hours are starts at 10 and it ends at 5 o'clock. So the last hour of the match will be from 4 o'clock up until 5 o'clock on day number 5. And the law wants a minimum of 20 overs to be bowled in that last hour. So the fielding side must bowl a minimum of 20 overs in the last hour. Not going to go into much detail. In level 2 and 3, we'll go into more. For now, just know there is this concept called the last hour of the match. And 20 overs, according to law, needs to be bowled in that last hour. Last slide under law 12. When is the game done? When is the game concluded? When is the match concluded? Firstly, so as soon as the result is reached, and Tom will cover the result later this evening in law 16. So as soon as, let's say, Zimbabwe needs to score 251 to win, they get to 252 or for 251 for the loss of 3 wickets. They will then win the test match and the game is then concluded. Game is also done, match is also concluded as soon as both the minimum number of overs in the last hour are completed and the close of play time is reached. I mentioned that 20 overs needs to be bowled in the last hour. So if we bowl that 20 overs and we got to our close of play time on day number 5, match is also done. In law 13, which is the next one, I will cover there can be agreements under law 13.1.2 and as soon as the final innings is completed, but we'll get to this point when we do our next law and we'll see what those agreements are under law 13. But as soon as those agreements are met, the game is also concluded. But just bear with me. Point 9.3, I'll elaborate on it in our next law. And then lastly, game is also done if players they need to leave the field due to adverse conditions, let's say rain or bad light. We get to day number 5 and it's storming the afternoon and players are not able to go back onto the field. No further play is possible in the day. Then game is also concluded. So these are 4 points when a match is completed or concluded. Next law, the innings. So in more day cricket, like test match cricket, they play test matches over 2 innings, but we'll see that the law allows for, yes, games can be played over 2 innings, but the law also allow games to be played over 1 innings. These agreements needs to be reached before the match. But so like in test match cricket, they play over 2 innings. But the law is flexible and it allows for more a match to be played over 1 innings. But as long as that agreement is made before the match. Again, more flexibility that the law allows when it comes to these innings. The law tells us that you can limit any innings to a certain number of overs or to a period of time. So like in test match cricket, there are no limit. In any of your innings, you can bat as many overs as you want. You can bat as long as you want. But not all competitions, have the luxury to be played over five days. I do know there are some competition that gets played over 3, some over 2 days. I know there are more day cricket or more innings matches played in 1 day. So now so what the playing conditions then do is they then limit the innings to a number of overs or to a period of time. I'll give you an example. Here in club cricket in the Western Cape, many years ago, we played more cricket over 2 days. So what the playing conditions stated was that, yes, both sides can enjoy 2 innings over the 2 days, but what they did was they limited the first innings for both sides to 60, a max of 60 overs. So that's a playing condition that club cricket here in Cape Town put in place, and the law allows for this, where you can limit any innings, and in our example, they limited the first innings to a max of 60 overs. There were no limit on the second innings. So yes, you can put a limit on the first innings. The law is flexible and even allow a limit to be put on the second innings. Or you can even put a time limit. You can say, first innings, you can bat a maximum of 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours, whatever the case may be. The law is flexible. It allows you to put these limits on. So if you do put these limits in place, So if it's a one innings game and there is agreement that it's only one innings, whatever the agreement is needs to be applied to both innings. So if you say one innings game, 60 overs, but it then needs to be 60 overs per side. You cannot have one side batting 60 overs and the other side batting 80 overs. So in a two innings match, if you do have agreement in place where you decide to limit the first innings to a number of overs, let's say 60 overs, or the second innings, you can put a number to the second innings. Similarly with times, if you want to put a time to the first innings of 3 hours and the second innings of 4 hours, you can see there is flexibility. The law allows for this. When it comes to your innings, the law wants the innings to be taken alternately. You cannot have a captain come to you and say, umpire, I know we're playing more day, let's say a 4-day more innings game. Let us bat our first innings. Let us bat our first innings. If we get bowled out, we'll then bat our second innings, and then the other side can bat their first and second innings. No, the law wants these innings to be taken alternately. There is a but, and we'll get to it later on when we do law 14, the follow on, and when there is a forfeiture of an innings in law 15. But we'll get to it later this evening. But in a two innings match, innings must be taken alternately. So let's say Zimbabwe, they bat first in a test match. As soon as they dismissed, South Africa then needs to go bat. South Africa then gets dismissed, then Zimbabwe needs to go bat in their second innings. And once Zimbabwe is dismissed in their second innings, then South Africa then needs to go bat in their second innings. So alternately, innings must take place. There are buts. We'll get to it when we do law 14 and 15. So what is a completed innings? I've mentioned that you are the law allows for games to be played over one innings, two innings. So when is a side's innings completed? Let's have a look. The law says as a side's innings to be completed as soon as the side is all out. Usually if you take 10 wickets, side is all out, that side's innings is completed. Secondly, innings is completed when at the fall of a wicket or the retirement of a batter, there are still balls to be bowled, but there's no more batters to come in. Law sees that as a completed innings. As soon as a captain declares an innings, that means that innings, after that declaration, that innings is completed. When we get to law 15, we'll go into a bit more detail about a declaration. When a captain forfeits an innings, that innings is also completed. We'll get to it also under law 15 when we will speak about a captain forfeiting an innings. And then lastly, a side's innings is also completed. And when there was an agreement in your game where you limited an innings to a number of overs or a certain period of time, so as soon as that overs has been reached, innings is completed. As soon as the time has been reached, innings is completed. Like in club cricket, I mentioned the example where the first innings was limited to 60 overs maximum per side. So as soon as 60 overs was reached, let's say side A was 204 for the loss of 2 wickets, but because the max of 60 overs was reached in the first innings, that innings is now done. Innings completed. Side B will now have to go bat in their first innings, and they can also bat a maximum of 60 overs. That was the playing condition in club cricket when we still played two-day cricket in Cape Town. It was many, many years ago. I think about 7 or 8 years ago. Same principle will apply to if you do put a time limit to the to an innings. So the toss in any game, toss needs to take place. And according to the law, let's see what the law tells us when it comes to the toss. Who needs to be there? Where does the toss needs to take place? What are the timings of the toss? And what needs to happen as soon as the toss takes place? Whoever wins it, what the winning captain needs to do. Let's first look at the toss. And according to law, both captains and at least one umpire needs to be present at the toss. That's non-negotiable according to law. Both captain needs to be there, and preferably both umpires. But let's say one umpire gets stuck in traffic on the way to the ground, and there's only one present, no issue. The law is flexible, but the law wants both captains and at least one umpire, preferably both. But if there's only one, no issue. The toss can take place. So now we know who needs to be there. So where does the toss take place? According to law, the wording that the law uses, anywhere on the field of play. So where is anywhere on the field of play? So technically, let's say the field and there's a rope around the field. As soon as you put your foot across the rope, that is on the field of play. And that's where the toss can take place, according to the law. So you can technically, according to the law, toss. As soon as you put your foot over the boundary rope, you're inside the field of play. You can toss right there, according to the law. But we do know that customary and for many centuries, where does the toss take place? The toss take place right next to the match pitch. If you see any test match or any provincial game, you'll see the toss taking place right next to the match pitch. Again, that is just how it's been done, and it's custom. It's been done so for many centuries, but according to the law, anywhere on the field of play. So now we know who needs to be there. We now know where it needs to take place. So, what are the timings of the toss? There is a 15-minute window period, 15 minutes window period for the toss to take place. And I'll use our test match as an example. Day one of our test match between South Africa and Zim needs to play will start at 10 o'clock on day one. So, what is this 15-minute window period for the toss to take place? Anytime between 9:30 and 9:45. So can you toss at 9:30? Yes, you can. Can you toss at 9:33? Yes, you can. Can you toss at 9:41? Definitely. 9:45? Yes. As long as it's in that 30-minute window period, you toss can take place. But practically, we try to get the toss done at 9:30. Why? It just gives everyone enough time. So if your toss gets done at 9:30, fielding side knows, both sides they know what they're going to do. You know, whether they're going to bat or bowl. Bowlers can then get ready. Opening bats can get ready. So practically, we usually toss at 9:30 if it's a 10 o'clock start, just to give everyone ample time to get ready. But there is this 15-minute window period from 9:30 till 9:45. It's a 10 o'clock start. Anywhere there, the toss can take place. Also, the law wants as soon as the toss is done. So let's say 9:30 our toss took place. Captain of Zimbabwe wins the toss, and let's say law wants that captain winning the toss to notify the opposing captain immediately whether they're going to bat or bowl. The captain winning the toss cannot tell you, but umpire, just give me a second. Let me first go and discuss this with my coach and my teammates. Give me 5 minutes, I'll get back to you. You, the umpires, needs to tell the captain that won the toss, no, Cappy, I need your answer now. Please tell all of us whether you're going to bowl or bat. You should have had this conversation before coming to the toss with your captain, with your coach, and the rest of your teammates. So we want you to notify your opposing captain immediately whether you're going to bat or bowl. And as soon as you've made that call, that decision then cannot be changed afterwards. Penultimate law that I'm covering is the follow-on law. So in more-day cricket, I'll use Test match as an example because I mean we all exposed to it. We follow it on TV, and in more-day cricket, in a two-innings match, there's this concept of the follow-on, and how does it work? So in a two-innings match of 5 days or more, and we know Test matches spans over 5 days, there is this concept in cricket that tells us if a side that batted first and they lead by at least 200 runs after both first innings has been completed, the captain then has the option of asking the opposing captain to follow on or not. That option is on the table. Captain can exercise it or not. It's the prerogative of the captain. He can decide, yes, I want to exercise the option of asking the other side to follow on, or no, I don't want them to follow on. I'll give you an example to illustrate how this concept in more-day cricket works of if there is a lead and if it's a 5-day test match of 200 runs or more, the captain has the option to ask the other side to follow on. I'll use Zim and South Africa as an example. So Zim won the toss. Toss took place at 9:30 in our test match. Captain of Zim won it and decided that they're going to bat. First ball gets bowled at 10 o'clock. Zim in their first innings scores. I'm just going to use round numbers just to illustrate how the law works. So Zim in their first innings scores 600, and let's say they get dismissed or they're all out for 600. So now South Africa will go bat in their first innings. South Africa gets dismissed by Zim in their first innings for 350 runs. So Zim scored 600 in their first innings. South Africa now gets dismissed for 350. So after both innings has now been completed, now let's look how many runs South Africa are behind Zim. So Zim is leading South Africa by 250 runs on the first innings. So now the law tells us if a side that batted first and they lead after both first innings were completed and they lead by at least 200 runs. In my example, Zim leads by 250 runs. The captain of Zim has the option of asking South Africa to go bat again, meaning South Africa was dismissed in their first innings for 350. So now the option is on the table for the Zim captain to ask the SA captain, I want you to go bat again in your second innings. But this option is only on the table if the lead in a 5-day test match is at least 200 runs. So the lead must be 200 runs, and if that is the case, you have the option to ask the other side to follow on. So in my example, because the lead is 250 runs, yes, the Zim captain has the option. Option is on the table. Zim captain doesn't have to exercise the option. Zim captain can decide, yes, I want South Africa to, and the terminology that we use in cricket is, I want South Africa to go follow on. So yes, I want South Africa to go follow on. The Zim captain will inform the umpires. Umpires will then inform the South African captain that Zim wants you to follow on. But option is there. If Zim captain decides, no, I'd rather go bat again in my second innings, I don't want to exercise the option, absolutely no issue. They want to go bat, Zim wants to go bat again in the second innings, they can. So that's how this concept of if the lead is at least 200 runs, the batting captain, after both innings has been completed, has the option to exercise, to ask the other captain to follow on or not. Not all More cricket are played over 5 days. So like here in South Africa, the provincial cricket spans over 4 days. We also have, we call it Colts cricket, that spans over 3 days. And there, when it comes to um, the follow on and what the minimum lead needs to be in a 3 or 4 day game, it needs to be 150 runs, at least 150. So in a 5 day test match, the lead needs to be at least 200. In a 3 or 4 day game, the lead needs to be at least 150. In a 2 day match, the lead needs to be at least 100. And in a 1 day, the lead needs to be at least 75 runs. So yeah, the law recognizes that not all More cricket gets played over 5 days. So they do um, give different scenarios for the length of the various competitions. Point two, as soon as the umpire decides, yes, I want the other side to go follow on, like in my example, Zim's lead was 250. Captain of Zim says, yes, umpires, I want the Proteas to follow on. So as soon as you decide, you notify the opposing captain and the umpires, and once that decision has been made, it then cannot be changed afterwards. When it comes to the follow-on, there's also this concept of if the first day's play is lost, and the emphasis on it must be the first day's play that is lost. And if that is the case, if no play took place on the first day, you then need to look at the remaining days of, and let's use our test match as an example. And then when it comes to the follow on and what the minimum lead needs to be, look at your remaining days and then see what the appropriate number for your what the follow on lead needs to be. I'll use an example to illustrate what point 3 is trying to tell us. Again, let's use our test match, Proteas playing Zimbabwe. So first, day one, let's say day one is on Monday. Not a single ball gets bowled on Monday. It rains the whole day. We come back, we come to the field on day two, nice bright sunshine. So now, in terms of the follow on and what the minimum lead needs to be, so now no play took place on day one of our test match. So we're starting on day two. So now, technically, there's only 4 days left in our test match. So now what the law is telling us, because no play took place on the first day was rain out, there's only 4 days now remaining. So when it comes to the minimum lead, because our test match is now 4 days, the minimum lead for now needs to be 150 runs. Even though it's a test match, but because we lost the whole of day one and there are now only 4 days left, then now the minimum lead needs to be 150 runs. But again, emphasis needs to be on it must be the first day that is lost. If play starts on day one, play is called. Soon as play is called, first day started, it will then remain a 5-day test match. Even if we day two gets the rain out or day three gets the rain out, as long as play starts on day one, it will remain a 5-day test match. But as soon as the first day's play is lost, we need to look at how many days left and apply the corresponding number in terms of what the lead should be in to enforce the follow-on. Last law that I'm covering before handing to Tom, and this law speaks about declaration and forfeiture. So in More Day cricket, like in Test match cricket, there is this concept of a declaration. So what is this? The captain of the batting side, the law allows the captain of the batting side to declare their innings closed whenever the ball is dead during that innings. I'll give an example to illustrate this. Again, let's use our Zimbabwe-South Africa test match. So South Africa wins the toss. They decide to go bat first. On the afternoon of day 2, the score now reads 648 for 4 wickets. South Africa is 648 for 4. Captain of South Africa decides, oh, okay, the afternoon of day 2 now. I've got lots of runs on the board. I'm going to declare my innings closed. I want Zimbabwe now to go bat in their first innings. So, yes, they were not dismissed. 10 wickets were not taken. Only 4 was taken by Zimbabwe. But in modern day cricket, there is this concept. If the batting captain feels, I think I have enough runs on the board, I would want to stop my innings, or the correct terminology to use is I want to declare my innings closed. The law allows for that. That is the batting captain's prerogative. Yes, I've got enough runs on the board. 600 and let's say 60 for 4. Umpires, opposing captain, I'm declaring my innings closed. Zim, I want you to go bat in your first innings now. So in modern cricket, there is this concept of, and it allows a captain to declare whenever, whether it's 400, whether it's 600, whenever. They have this option and they can declare if they feel they have enough runs on the board. So that is a declaration in modern cricket. Also, in modern cricket, and the law allows for a forfeiture of an innings. This doesn't happen that often. I've never had one where there was a forfeiture in all my years of umpiring. We'll see in the next slide, in the history of test match cricket, there's only been one forfeiture, but we'll get to that in the next slide. But the law allows for an innings, a captain to forfeit any of the innings. So if you do decide to forfeit any of your innings, the law allows it. And that forfeiture needs to be done before the commencement of that innings. And we saw earlier when we did Law 13 that as soon as a captain forfeits any of his size innings, that is seen as a completed innings. Doesn't happen that often, but the law is there that allows a captain to forfeit either of his or her side innings as long as it's done before the commencement of that innings. And lastly, as soon as the captain decides, yes, I'm declaring my innings closed, or I am forfeiting my innings, as soon as that decision is made by the captain, that then decision cannot be changed afterwards. And lastly, before I take a single and hand over to Tom to face the rest of the over, in the history of Test match cricket, there was only one example of a forfeited innings. It happened in the year 2000. The late Hansie Cronje was captain of South Africa, and the English captain was Nasser Hussain. Lots of rain around. I mean, just to summarize what happened, the South Africa in that game decided they going to forfeit their second innings. And the law allows for a forfeiture of an innings. England then on the last day had to chase 270 in 73 overs. They reached their target. They won the game. But a month or two later, it was found out that there was a match fixing. A bookmaker contacted the late Hansie Cronje, and the game was fixed. And the that particular game was actually scrapped from the record books of Test match cricket. So the only instance that there was a forfeiture in Test match cricket, um, that game was actually scrapped from the record books. Tom, thank you so much. That is all I'm covering. Handing over.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. Good day to you and the attendees. I'm going to take the candidates through laws 16, 17, and 18. And today we will get to our first quiz questions that I will pose while I present. And I will go through the answers after I've presented the three laws. But while I present and when I ask the quiz questions, I'm going to request all of you to get involved and type your answer, what you feel is the correct answer, into the chat box. So we're going to start with law 16, the result. Let's first talk about a win. A win can be achieved in a 2 innings match or a 1 innings match. How is it achieved in a 2 innings match? The side which has scored a total of runs in excess of that scored in the 2 completed innings of the opposing side shall win the match. The key words here are the 2 completed innings of the opposing side. And Abdullah took us through when exactly an innings is considered to be completed. We need to remember this definition for our first quiz question for today. What about a win in a 1 innings per side match? Well, this is pretty straightforward. The side which has scored in its 1 innings a total of runs in excess of that scored by the opposing side in its 1 completed innings shall win the match. Okay, so currently on the go is the International Cricket Council Men's T20 World Cup in India and Sri Lanka. And we saw a great match between India and the West Indies yesterday. And we will feature the result of that match on the next slide in terms of how we define or how we describe a win. Umpires can also award a match, and we will watch a video later where 2 umpires awarded a test match to England against Pakistan. Law tells us that regardless of any agreement in terms of the number of innings in a match shall be lost by a side which either concedes defeat or, in the opinion of the umpires, refuses to play. This is quite a controversial way of a match being concluded, and we will have a video showing a controversial match concluded in that manner. If the umpires feel that either side has conceded defeat or refuses to play, then the umpire shall award the match to the other side. Also, if an umpire considers that an action by any player or players might constitute a refusal by either side to play, then the umpires together shall ascertain the cause of the action. If they then decide together that this action does constitute a refusal to play, then they shall inform the captain of that side. And if the captain persists with the action, the umpire shall award the match in accordance with the slide before. So we always need to find out from the team that is apparently refusing to play why they are refusing to play, and if they will consider playing the game and getting a result in a normal manner rather than the match being awarded to the opposing side. As umpires, we always encourage and try to maximize play, and we should exercise all options before having to award a match. So let's look at this example of a match that was awarded, and it is something that was not good for cricket, hasn't happened since, but is still remembered by many as a dark day for the game.
Over the last 140 years, more than 2,300 test matches have been played. Over 1,500 of these have ended in a result. Over 700 have been drawn, 2 have been tied, and only 1 has ended in a forfeit.
The thing I remember about the forfeit test is none of us had a clue what was going on, really.
According to law 16.3.2, a match shall be lost by a side which, in the opinion of the umpires, refuses to play. On August 20, 2006, this rule was invoked for the first time on an afternoon that swung wildly between high drama and farce. An hour before tea on the 4th day, at the end of the 56th over of England's second innings, umpires Darrell Hare and Billy Doctrove asked for a change of ball.
It was one of the reserve umpires came out with a new box of balls. It was clear they were changing the ball. No big deal there. But instead of asking the bowling side to choose the new one, he asked the batting side, and you think, oh, hello, interesting.
The umpires then awarded England 5 penalty runs, confirming that they had pulled Pakistan up for tampering with the ball. The trouble was there was no evidence, no jelly, no dirt, no sandpaper.
A lot of people that looked at that ball have different opinions. Some feel it was clearly tampered with, and some think it was more than just playable. It was a good-looking ball. Others think you can see some evidence of scratching, but none that suggests it's been done on purpose and by hand, or even by a foreign object. So very mixed views.
It was after the tea break, taken more than 15 overs, after the 5-run penalty, that things really escalated. The umpires walked out, the English batsmen walked out, the Pakistanis didn't.
They felt hugely wronged, you know, they weren't sure that whether they wanted to come out.
After waiting for 20 minutes, the umpires walked to the Pakistan dressing room, came back a few minutes later and took the bails off.
And the match is aborted or abandoned or cancelled or no, wrong, none of that. We hear the match has been awarded to England. Wow.
That wasn't the end of it either. After a protest lasting almost an hour, and following discussions with match referee Mike Proctor, Inzamam Al-Haq finally leads the Pakistan team out again. This time, though, the umpires stay put. They've made their decision, and they're sticking by it.
My view of that was that it was very inflexible. Mike Proctor was the match referee in a very difficult position. I think there should have been an instruction from on high, from the chief executive or chairman of ICC, that this is a unique situation because of the unproven circumstances. In a proven circumstance of a tampered ball and a side refusing to come out, fair enough, but this was unproven.
Several hours after the bails were taken off, the ICC and the English and Pakistan cricket boards confirm in a joint statement that the match had indeed been forfeited. The hits kept on coming. With no evidence to back up the accusation, the ICC dropped the ball tampering charges. But Inzamam was banned for 4 one-dayers for refusing to lead his team out. They also removed Hare from international duty, who in turn threatened to sue the ICC and the PCB for racial discrimination. 2 years later, the ICC overturned the result from a Pakistan loss to a draw. But the MCC refused to recognize this.
It was all incredibly nasty and another stain on the game. and there's never been any concrete proof that Pakistan were in the wrong anyway.
To date, this remains the only scorecard in history to state England awarded the match, opposition refused to play. In the end, though, there was only one real loser: cricket itself.
So I think the lesson there is that as umpires, if we are to call up a team for changing the condition of the match ball illegally, also known as ball tampering, we need to have concrete evidence to avoid the team feeling hard done by or unduly punished. And please, as I mentioned earlier, always try and find out why a team refuses to play and try and come to an amicable agreement. Get the team to play under protest, but please maximize and encourage play wherever possible. So what are the other results of a cricket match? A tie. What does a tie look like? The result of a match shall be a tie when all innings have been completed and the scores are equal. The key words in this sentence are that all innings have been completed. Abdullah, talk us through how an innings can be completed. Normally it is when a side is all out. So let's give an example of a tied test match. South Africa bat first and they score 350 runs. Zimbabwe bat second and they score 250 runs all out. South Africa bat again, they score 200 runs all out. So in total, they have now scored 350 plus 200, that is 550 runs. Zimbabwe in their first innings scored 250 runs. So to win the match, they need to score 301 runs. But when they get to 300 runs, they are bowled out. That means both sides, if you aggregate their two innings, have scored 550 runs in the match. And all the innings were completed and the scores are equal. That is a tied test match. Okay. In a T20 match, South Africa played against Afghanistan in the World Cup a couple of weeks ago now. And I cannot remember the scores, but after 20 overs, the two teams had exactly the same score. It did not matter that the one team had more wickets down than the other team had, because both innings were completed by the fact that 20 overs were bowled. In limited overs matches, a innings is completed when those overs that are scheduled have been bowled. Okay, so that is why that match went to a super over. The super over was tied, and then the second super over, South Africa won the match. Before the days of super overs, that match would have ended as a tie. Excuse me. Then we come to a draw. What is a drawn match? The result of a match shall be a draw when it is not determined in any of the ways stated previously. So let me give you a scorecard of a drawn test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe. South Africa scored 350 runs in their first innings. Zimbabwe scored 250 runs in their first innings. Then South Africa scored 200 runs and they were all out in their second innings. So Zimbabwe needed 301 runs to win the match. At the end of the fifth day, Zimbabwe were 280 for 8 wickets. Is that a completed innings? No, it is not. We had just reached the last ball of the last hour in the test match, and Zimbabwe hadn't got to their target of 301 runs to win the match, and South Africa hadn't completed the innings of Zimbabwe by bowling them out. That is a definition of a draw because the fourth innings in the match was not completed. So that brings us to our quiz question 16. And the reason that it's quiz question 16, it's not the 16th quiz question that we're posing. It's the first quiz question that we're posing. But it is related to Law 16. That is why it is quiz question 16. So I'm going to play this video for you. It's about 5.5 minutes long. It is the last over of a test match between Zimbabwe and England. And the question is pretty simple. What is the result of this match? Is it a draw or is it a tie? And after the video, I'll ask you to please type your answers to the quiz question into the chat box. Let's watch the video.
Heath Streak will be the bowler. England will be smiling at the end of this over. They need 13 runs to win this match. Zimbabwe in no hurry. Campbell's going to make sure that every corner of this boundary is patrolled. Streak tonight.
One boundary, anything could happen.
Down the leg side. Perfectly legitimate today. One ball gone with no runs scored.
One-day cricket, it would be illegal. In Test cricket, it's quite legitimate. So they bowled very well, Heath Streak, and particularly Guy Whittle, I think, who came on. And the game was probably still in England's favour, but used to have dragged it back and bowled very well.
Knight's got it out to long off. Darren Gough prepared to sacrifice his wicket, but he's got back for 2. Flower, the fielder, making sure there'd be no overthrow, allowed England back for 2. I think Zimbabwe will settle for that. That's what Knight's looking for. He's chipped it over his head for 6. Unbelievable. Nick Knight's got his streak away over mid-wicket for 6 runs. Now England are back in it. England now need 5 runs to win off 3 balls. The England supporters are going crazy.
5 or 3 balls. Does he leave everyone on the boundary or does he bring someone in?
Nick Knight, the hero of the hour now. That 6 runs has made all the difference. Have a look at this.
If you keep firing it in the same area, the batsman will eventually be able to adjust, and that's what's happened here. Nick Knight, 92 not out now. 1 6 5 4s, and that has changed everything. 5 runs now needed from 3 balls.
A lot of critics of one-day cricket, but that shot would never have been played in a test match 15 years ago. Here's Streak tonight. England require 5. It's wide outside the off stump. No signal from umpire Ian Robinson. England now requiring 5 off 2. How does Heath Streak feel?
That is required. Sorry, that is required.
Full toss. Knight can only get it away for 1. Gough will definitely come back for the second run. He's made it with a dive. Street can't take the ball cleanly. England scramble 2, 3 to win off the last ball. We've seen one-day finishes all over the world. We've never seen a test match finish like this. Now, the batsmen are in conference. The big three for Zimbabwe in conference. Campbell has told the bowler what to do. He goes out onto the boundary edge. Andy Flower wishes Heath Street good luck. Nick Knight takes a few deep breaths. England need 3 runs to win off the very last ball to win this test match. Can Nick Knight conjure up another boundary? One feel it has to be a boundary now for England to win this match. Here comes Street. Knight's down the track, he's got it out to deep cover, there's a man there. This too will bring the scores level. Andy Flower's got it, Darren Gough vainly goes for the 3rd runs. The scores are level, but the match is drawn. England finished tantalisingly, 1 run short. They couldn't get the final run. Nick Knight finishes on 96 not out. What a test match day we've seen here in Bulawayo. England finish just 1 run short. Controversial tactics from Zimbabwe as they fire the ball wide either side of the wicket. I'm sure England would have done the same thing in their situation. This is test match cricket, remember. Zimbabwe have fought all the way and out of the fire have salvaged a draw.
Okay, so apologies for the wording covering the scores, but here are the scores. So Zimbabwe scored 376, and they also scored 234. So in total, they scored 610 runs. England scored 406 in their first innings, and they scored 204 for 6 in their second innings. In total, they also scored 610 runs. What is the result of this match? Is it a draw or is it a tie? And what's quite important is England's last innings, or England's second innings, which was the last innings of the match. Was it completed or not? That's the question you need to answer for you to be able to get the answer to the quiz question correct. Okay, I will go through the answer to all our quiz questions this evening after I've gone through the 3 laws. What happens if the winning hit is a boundary? If a boundary is scored before the batter have completed sufficient runs to win the match, the whole of the boundary allowance shall be credited to that side's total, and in the case of a hit by the bat, to the striker's score. So let me give you an example to illustrate what the law is teaching us here. If South Africa need 1 run to win, but Ryan Rickleton is on 98. He needs 2 runs to get to his century. Law says that if Ryan Rickleton hits the ball and it goes over the boundary rope, as long as the batters have not completed that single, then he will be awarded the boundary 4 in total, and his total will go up to 102 runs. 98 plus 4 is 102. The match will, however, if they had completed the single before the ball crossed the boundary, then he would have been stranded on 99 and South Africa would have won the match by completing that 1 single. So batters know this law, and they're always very careful not to complete the single if the team needs 1 run to win. They always like to see the ball going to the boundary and the boundary 4 being awarded, and they getting the full 4 runs added to their total as well as the team's total. So how do we state a result? There are two ways that we state a win. If the side batting last wins the match without losing all of their wickets, the result shall be stated as a win by the number of wickets still to fall. So let's have a look at the match that took place last night. India against the West Indies. West Indies batted first, and in their 20 overs, they scored 195 runs for the loss of 4 wickets. India needed 196 runs to win, and because Sanju Samson hit a boundary 4 with the 19.2 over, the second delivery of the 20th over, they ended up on 199 runs for the loss of 5 wickets. Now, how many wickets constitute a team to be all out? It's 10 wickets. So how many wickets had not fallen when India got to the target? They still had 5 wickets in hand. 10 minus 5 is 5. That is why the statement of that result is India won the match by 5 wickets. And in limited overs cricket, quite often they also add how many balls were remaining. 4 balls were remaining yesterday when India reached their target and won by 5 wickets. If the side fielding last wins the match, the result shall be stated as a win by runs. A few days ago, Pakistan played against Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka, and Pakistan scored 212 runs for the loss of 8 wickets in their allotted 20 overs. And Sri Lanka, with the target of 213, came short. In their 20 overs, they scored 207 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. So Pakistan won by 5 runs. Don't be confused that the target was 213, so it is not 213 minus 207. It is Pakistan's score of 212 minus Sri Lanka's score of 207 that gives Pakistan the win by 5 runs. 212 minus 207 is 5 runs. If the match is decided by one side conceding defeat or refusing to play, the result shall be stated as match conceded or match awarded, whichever the case might be. What happens if there are mistakes in scoring? Very rare, but law does provide a solution for us. If after the players and the umpires have left the field in the belief that the match has been concluded, but then the umpires discover that a mistake in scoring has occurred, which means the match is actually not concluded, then the umpires need to adopt the following procedure. If when the players leave the field, the side batting last has not completed its innings, and either the number of overs to be bowled in the last hour or in that innings has not been completed, so we still have time or overs remaining, and the agreed time for close of play or for the end of the innings has not been reached, then unless one side concedes defeat, then the umpires shall order the players to get back on the field of play and resume the game to correctly conclude the game. Unless a result is reached sooner, play will then continue if conditions permit until the prescribed number of overs has been completed and either time for close of play has been reached or the allocated time for the innings has expired. Quite importantly, no account shall be taken of the time between going off and the resumption of play. So if your innings or your day is limited by time, then the time that we were off the field believing that the match was completed, that shall not count as playing time. So you might end up playing a little bit past your close of play time, also depending on the playing conditions in terms of when you can stop play. Once the umpires have agreed with the scorers the correctness of the scores at the conclusion of the match, the result cannot thereafter be changed. Here in club cricket, in Western Province Cricket Association, they are what are called match cards. I think they're now done electronically. They were previously done by hand, where the scorers would fill in the scores of all the batters in both teams and obviously the total of both sides, and then they would state the result of the match at the bottom of the match card, and both captains would sign both scorecards or both match cards. And once those match cards were signed, then the result of that match could not be changed. That's law 16 done. Now we move over to law 17, the over. How many balls in an over? I'm sure we all know. The ball shall be bowled from each end alternately in overs of 6 legal deliveries. How and when does an over start? Law tells us that an over has started when the bowler starts his or her run-up for the first delivery, or if the bowler does not have a run-up, then the over has started when the bowler starts his or her bowling action. That is the back foot landing for the first delivery of that over. I must say, I've never in my years of umpiring or watching cricket seen a bowler who doesn't have a run-up. Even those bowlers who just walk to the crease and bowl, that walk to the crease is considered a run-up. So when are deliveries considered to be a legal delivery? Firstly, we look at when a delivery is not considered a legal delivery and shall not count as one of the 6 legal deliveries that constitute an over. Of course, a ball shall not count as a legal delivery if it is not delivered. So if a bowler in his bowling action realizes that something is not quite right and does not release the ball, then of course it will not count as a legal delivery. What happens if a ball is delivered? In what circumstances will it not count as a legal delivery as one of the 6 in the over? If the ball is called dead or is considered to be dead, and we will go through the dead ball law in detail on Wednesday, law 20. If the ball is called dead or is considered to be dead before the striker has had an opportunity to play the ball, then it shall not count as a legal delivery in the over. If a striker is not ready for the delivery of the ball and it is still delivered, and the striker makes no attempt to play at the ball, then it shall not be a legal delivery in the over. It will be called and signaled a dead ball and shall need to be rebowled. If the striker is distracted while receiving a delivery, maybe a bowler has got a towel tucked into the back of his or her pants, and in their bowling action, that towel falls out, that towel falling out will cause a distraction for the striker. And whether or not they play at the delivery, if the umpire is shown by the striker that they were distracted by the towel falling, then the bowler's end umpire will call and signal dead ball. That ball will not count as a legal delivery in the over and needs to be re-bowled. If a delivery is a no ball or a wide, and we'll learn all about no balls and wides on Wednesday as well, laws 21 and 22, then of course those deliveries do not count as legal deliveries and they need to be re-bowled. When a player returns to the field without the permission of an umpire and comes into contact with the ball automatically becomes dead, and that delivery needs to be re-bowled. If there's an incident of illegal fielding, and we will come to illegal fielding in Law 28 next week, then the ball automatically becomes dead and that ball needs to be delivered. There is punishment as well of 5 penalty runs for all of these offenses, and we will get to those details when we get to those specific laws numbered on this slide. If there is a deliberate attempt to distract the striker, or there's a deliberate distraction, deception, or obstruction of either batter, again, that ball will not count as a legal delivery in the over and needs to be re-bowled, and there will be 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. And we will go through that detail as per those laws in level 2 and level 3. Any deliveries other than those listed on the previous slide shall be known as valid balls, and only valid balls shall count towards the 6 balls of the over. When 6 valid balls have been bowled and when the ball becomes dead, the umpire shall call over before leaving the wicket. And we will learn on Wednesday during the dead ball law when the ball becomes dead. I saw earlier that somebody asked a question in the chat box. What is the timing? How long does the ball need to be idle before we can consider it to be dead? All that detail we will get into on Wednesday under Law 20, dead ball. What happens if umpires miscount? And as much as we try, on very hot days when there's a lot happening, sometimes we are umpiring bowlers in, bowlers in, bowlers in, bowlers in, because there is no second official umpire. So the batting team is providing a strikers end umpire. That is when you can lose count of the number of legal deliveries in the over. Often as well, if there are a wide or a no ball or a dead ball or a wicket that falls in an over, or there's an injury to a player during an over, it is when there is some event or events in an over that we generally tend to miscount. What does the law say about miscounting? It says if the umpires miscount the number of valid deliveries, the over as counted by the umpire shall stand. What does that mean? If I, as the bowler's end umpire, call over after 5 deliveries instead of 6, that will be the end of the over. Unless I am quickly corrected by my colleague and then I will allow a 6th delivery. But if I allow 7 deliveries to be bowled, is that 7th delivery valid? Yes, it is. Why? Because I did not call over after the 6th legal delivery. And if a wicket falls on that 7th delivery, it will stand. If there's a boundary 4 or a boundary 6 on that 7th delivery, it will count. Okay, so very important that we need to try as far as possible not to miscount the number of deliveries in the over. So how we do that practically as umpires on the field? When there are 3 balls remaining in an over, the universal signal is halfway. Okay, some umpires just put their arm halfway, some umpires show halfway. If there are 2 deliveries left in the over, you simply signal 2. And if there's 1 delivery left in the over, usually 1 to the side or 1 by your side to the bottom. If there is a wide ball or a no ball or a dead ball, then it is good umpiring practice to confirm the number of deliveries remaining in the over. The universal signal for 6 balls remaining in an over, if, for example, there was a wide bowled on the first delivery of the over, it is not a legal delivery, so there are still 6 balls remaining. The universal signal for 6 balls remaining is a fist shown to your partner. As I mentioned, if having miscounted, the umpire allows an over to continue after 6 valid balls have been bowled, he or she may subsequently call over as the ball becomes dead after any delivery, even if that delivery is not a valid ball. What does this mean? This means that if we have bowled 6 legal deliveries and we allow a 7th delivery to be bowled, and that 7th delivery is a wide or a no ball, usually we would re-bowl that wide or that no ball. But if we realize, maybe we got a shout from the scorers that we had already bowled 6 legal deliveries in that over, we allowed a 7th one incorrectly, so that 7th delivery is a no ball. We will not allow an 8th delivery. We will not allow that no ball to be re-bowled, because now we have been alerted to the fact that that was actually the 7th delivery of the over. We have already bowled 6 legal deliveries, so we can call over. Yes, that no ball will still count, and if there were any runs off that no ball, or if there was a wicket that fell off that 7th delivery, they will still stand. But we will not bowl another delivery to make up for that no ball. Law told us earlier that an overs is to be bowled alternately. Overs are to be bowled alternately in 6 legal deliveries. So that means at Newlands Cricket Ground here in Cape Town, South Africa, the 2 ends are the Wynberg end and the Kelvin Grove end. The Wynberg end is the south end of the ground and the Kelvin Grove end is the north end of the ground. If Kagiso Rabada opens the bowling for South Africa from the Wynberg end, then the next bowler, Anrich Nukier, will bowl from the Kelvin Grove end. Can bowlers change ends? So can Kagiso Rabada later in that innings bowl from the Kelvin Grove end? Yes, he can. Law tells us that a bowler shall be allowed to change ends as often as desired, provided that he or she does not bowl 2 overs consecutively, nor bowl parts of each of 2 consecutive overs in the same innings. So Kagiso Rabada cannot bowl over number 1 from the Weinberg end and then bowl over number 2 from the Calvin Grove end, because then he would be bowling in 2 consecutive overs. Okay, if you do want to change ends, you need to take a break of at least 2 overs, 1 from each end, and then you can bowl from the other end. When does an over finish? Or do we always have to finish an over? Law tells us that other than at the end of an innings, a bowler shall finish an over in progress unless he or she is incapacitated or suspended under any of the laws. So you cannot change a bowler mid-over for tactical reasons. You can only change a bowler mid-over if that bowler that started the over gets injured and cannot physically complete the over, or is suspended during the over. And suspension of bowlers is covered in Law 41, which we will go through in Level 2 and Level 3. If for any reason other than the end of an innings, an over is left uncompleted at the start of an interval or interruption, it shall be completed on resumption of play. Abdullah made an example earlier of a wicket falling at 11:58 in a test match between South Africa and Zimbabwe. Lunch is scheduled for 12 midday. But law tells us that if a wicket falls with less than 3 minutes remaining before a scheduled interval, then we will take that interval immediately. So in that example that Abdullah gave us earlier, lunch will be taken halfway through that over, okay? And do we lose the rest of the deliveries in that over? No, we will complete the over after lunch, unless of course that was the 10th wicket that fell, in which case the innings is concluded and the next team will be bowling after lunch. So what happens if a bowler is incapacitated or suspended during an over? If for any reason a bowler is incapacitated while running up to deliver the first ball of an over, or is incapacitated during an over, the umpire shall call and signal dead ball due to that injury. If a bowler is incapacitated or suspended during an over, another bowler shall complete the over from the same end, provided that he or she does not bowl 2 overs consecutively or does not bowl any parts of 2 consecutive overs. Okay, so yes, 2 bowlers can bowl the same over. Maybe Kagiso Rabada starts the over and then after 3 deliveries he pulls his hamstring and cannot carry on. Then Lungingidi can complete the over for Kagiso Rabada. As long as Lungingidi didn't bowl any part of the previous over, and he now cannot bowl any part of the following over. The last law that I will be covering this evening is Law 18, scoring runs. How is a score in cricket added up? The score shall be reckoned by runs. And when is a run scored? a run is scored in numerous ways. First one is so often as the batters at any time while the ball is in play have crossed and made good their ground from end to end, from the one crease to the other crease. Of course, we all know that runs are scored when a boundary is scored. And on Wednesday, we will go through Law 19, which is all about boundaries. Runs are also scored when penalty runs are awarded. And as I mentioned in an earlier lecture, we will be going through the laws and we will see when penalty runs are awarded to the batting side and when and how penalty runs are awarded to the fielding side. Let's talk about short runs. What is a short run? Law tells us that a run is short if a batter fails to make good his or her ground in turning for a further run. Okay? So if the batters attempt 2 runs, but at the turn of the end of the first run to start the second run, one of the batters does not ground any part of their bat or person over the popping crease, then that will be considered a short run. Although a short run shortens the second run or the succeeding run, the latter run, if completed, shall not be regarded as short. So it's only the run that was being completed when they turn short that will be considered a short run. A striker setting off for the first run from in front of the popping crease may do so without penalty. David Miller is a good example of a batter who bats outside of his crease, say maybe half a meter outside of his crease. When he hits a cover drive, Lord says here that he does not have to go back into his crease before starting his run. He can, from the position that he's hit the ball from, he can carry on running towards the other crease at the opposite end of the pitch. Now, there are 2 types of short runs. There are unintentional short runs and there are deliberate short runs. Let's talk through unintentional short runs. If either batter runs short, the umpire concerned or the umpire at which the short running occurs shall call and signal short run when the ball becomes dead, and that run shall not be scored. Good umpiring practice is when the short run occurs to call it immediately so that everybody on the field is aware which batter ran short when. Especially because if any fielder sees a batter turning short, they will start screaming, short run, short run, short run. So if you as the umpire does not call and signal short run as and when it happens, then the fielding side is going to scream and shout at you until you call and signal short run. If after either or both batters run short, a boundary is scored, the umpire concerned shall disregard the short running and shall not call or signal short run unless the boundary is a result of an overthrow or a willful act of a fielder. And in Wednesday's lecture, in the boundaries law, we will go into more detail about overthrows and willful acts of fielders resulting in a boundary. If both batters run short on the same run, it shall be regarded as one short run, not 2 short runs. If more than one run is short, then all runs called as short runs shall not be scored. But I can guarantee you, going back to that practice of calling and signaling short run as soon as it happens, if you call and signal short run on the first turn, I can guarantee you that if they attempt another 2 or 3 runs, there won't be another short run in that delivery, because they've already heard short run. They will be more careful to ensure that they do ground their bat beyond the popping crease before turning for the next run. But if there have been more than one short run in a delivery, then the bowlers and umpires shall inform the scorers how many runs to be recorded for that delivery. If you've got a radio with you to communicate with the scorers, that's easy. If not, then you're going to have to try and use some hand signals or shout to tell the scorers that 3 runs were attempted, but only 1 was completed, so 2 short runs. Now let's watch a video that teaches us about deliberate short runs, how to recognize a deliberate short run, and how to deal with a deliberate short run. It does also speak again about unintentional short runs.
Hello guys, welcome to my channel. This video is a new addition to the analysis series. Let's get started. On 15th of November 2018, second day of second test match between Sri Lanka and England, a strange incident happened. Let's watch the footage. Looks like a normal short run case, isn't it? Well, that's not the case. Let's see what umpire's decision was. If you did not understand what he signaled, he initially disallowed all the runs scored by the batsman on that delivery. Further, he informed the batsman about deliberate short running and awarded 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Now, let's see what the cricket law has to say about running short. There are 2 categories in this, unintentional and deliberate. Let's take a look at unintentional short running first. If a batsman runs short, then the umpire shall call and signal short run as soon as the ball becomes dead, and that run shall not be scored. For example, if they run 2 and if they run 1 short, then only 1 run will be scored. Now let's take a look at deliberate short run. Cricket law states that if either umpire considers that one or both the batsmen deliberately ran short, then wait for the ball to become dead and further disallow all the runs scored on that delivery, return the batsmen to their original end, and award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Now let's see why the umpire considered this incident as deliberate short running. As you can see, both the batsmen start running and then striker Roshan Silva feels that the ball will reach the boundary. But upon seeing Moeen Ali has stopped the ball, he runs back to the striker's end. But in between, the striker Roshan Silva did not ground the bat at all, which made the umpire to consider this as deliberate short run. If he had at least tried to ground the bat, then most likely that the umpire would not have considered this as a deliberate short run. 5-run penalty for this feels a bit harsh, isn't it? Now let's see why exactly this law exists. In an IPL match between Mumbai Indians and Kings 11, while chasing 231, Mumbai Indians needed 16 runs of the last over. Kieron Pollard, who faces the first ball of the over, strikes the ball and sets off for the run, thinking that he can come back for 2. But upon realizing that he cannot make it, he runs back to the striker's end without completing the first run. and it can be seen that he did that deliberately as he wanted to get back the strike. It is clearly unfair as he got 1 run and also he came back to the strike. To prevent the players from doing such things, this law exists. But in Roshan Silva's case, he was not trying to gain any unfair advantage. But since he did not make any effort to complete the first run, it was ruled deliberate short run. Still have any doubts with this? Do let me know in the comment section. If you like.
So there we have it, folks. The difference between a unintentional short run and a deliberate short run. And we need to know how to recognize a deliberate short run and how to act on a deliberate short run. We should not be intimidated by the player who is running short, and we need to apply the law. To apply the law, we need to know the law. So let's just summarize what and how we act on deliberate short runs. If either umpire considers that one or both batters deliberately ran short, the umpire where the short running occurred, when the ball is dead, shall call and signal short run and then inform the other umpire of what has occurred. And furthermore, the bowler's end umpire shall disallow all runs to the batting side. That's the same signal as dead ball. Return any not out batters to his or her original end. They need to signal no ball or wide to the scorers, if applicable, if there was a no ball or a wide. And you saw Murray Rasmus awarding 5 penalty runs to the fielding side by holding his opposite shoulder. Okay. That is a question that was asked in one of our first lectures. When are penalty runs awarded? This is one of the reasons for 5 penalty runs to be awarded to the fielding side. Then we need to inform everybody and report the matter as well to the governing body in charge of the match. Time for quiz question 18.1 and quiz question 18.2. How many runs are scored by the batting side in this scenario, if any? And how many runs are awarded to the fielding side in this scenario, if any? So there are 2 parts, 2 questions attached to this one scenario. So when you type in your answers, please type in 18.1 and write in the number of runs scored by the batting side in this scenario, if any. And then type in 18.2 and type in the number of runs awarded to the fielding side, if any. Okay, let's watch the video and then you can type in your answer in the chat box.
Trouble. Oh, gee, it was a pretty well positioned throw, wasn't it?
Nice work, Maxie.
I think they're talking about a non-striker perhaps leaving the box, leaving the crease a little bit prematurely, I believe.
There's nothing.
Wow, there you go.
Right, yeah.
So Maxie,
No wonder you didn't run him out.
It was for a deliberate running short. So Tim David's run down, knew he just had to touch about a metre out of the crease to be able to get back and face the last delivery.
So please type into the chat box now, 18.1. How many runs do you think are scored by the batter in that delivery, if any? And then 18.2, how many runs are awarded to the fielding side, if any? I will go through those answers shortly once I've finished presenting. When are penalty runs awarded? there are numerous places in the laws where penalty runs are awarded. We've just seen the first one, deliberate short runs, in Law 18. I mentioned if a player returns to the field without the permission of an umpire and comes into contact with the ball, there will be 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. If there is illegal practice on the field by the fielding side, then the batting side will be awarded 5 penalty runs. This is after a first and final warning has been given. If there is a no ball bowled or a wide ball, they are also considered penalty runs, but we know they are only 1-run penalties for no balls and wides. If there's an instance of illegal fielding, then there will be 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. If the ball hits unworn helmets belonging to the fielding side on the ground, there will be 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. In Law 41 and Law 42, there are numerous ways where either the fielding side or the batting side are awarded 5 penalty runs because of misconduct by the opposing side. We will go into more details on boundaries in Wednesday's lecture under Law 19. We all know there are 2 types of boundaries, boundary 4 and boundary 6 in cricket. Are there any runs scored when a batter is dismissed? Yes and no. When a batter is dismissed, any runs for penalties awarded to either side shall stand. So if there are penalty runs or if there was a wide or a no ball, those runs will always stand. No other runs shall be credited to the batting side except as follows. If a batter is dismissed obstructing the field, the batting side shall score any runs completed before the obstruction occurred. If, however, the obstruction prevented a catch from being taken, then no runs other than penalty runs shall be scored. If a batter is dismissed run out, the batting side shall score any runs completed before the wicket was put down. So if a batter was run out attempting the 3rd run, then the first 2 runs that were completed, they will stand. If, however, a striker who has a runner is dismissed run out, any runs completed by the runner and the other batter shall be disallowed. You might find it strange that the law still refers to runners in all international cricket and in most professional and recreational cricket around the world. Runners are no longer allowed as per the playing conditions of those particular tournaments or matches, but law does still provide for runners. In the over 40s World Cups and most veterans cricket around the world, they do still make use of runners. Who gets credited with runs when? If the ball is struck by the bat, all runs scored by the batting side shall be credited to the striker, except an award of 5 penalty runs, which shall be scored as penalty runs. The 1-run penalty for a no ball, it shall be scored as a no ball extra in the scorebook. If the ball is not struck by the bat, runs shall be scored as penalty runs, byes, leg byes, no ball extras, or wides, whichever the case might be. If byes or leg byes accrue from a no ball, only the 1-run penalty for the no ball shall be scored as a no ball, and the remainder of the runs will be byes or leg byes, whichever the case might be. The bowler, when are they debited with runs? All runs scored by the striker will go against the bowler's bowling figures. All runs scored as no ball extras will go against the bowler's bowling figures. All runs scored as wides will also obviously go against the bowling figures of the bowler. When will a batter return to their original end? When a striker is dismissed in any of the modes of dismissals listed below, the not-out batter shall return or remain at his or her original end. If the striker is out bowled, then obviously the non-striker will remain at the non-striker's end. If the striker is out stumped, then the non-striker will remain at the original end. If the striker is out hit the ball twice, the non-striker will remain at the non-striker's end. If the striker is out a leg before wicket, then the non-striker will remain or return to their original end. If the non-striker is out hit wicket, then the non-striker will remain or return to their original end. This is a new one since 2022. If a striker is out caught, then the non-striker will remain or return to their original ends, even if the catch took place after the batters had crossed. The non-striker will have to go back to his or her original end, and the new batter will face the next delivery. That is, of course, if it's still in the same over. If the striker is out obstructing the field where the obstruction or distraction prevents the striker from being out caught, then the non-striker will return or remain at his or her original end. That is all I am presenting for today's lecture. Now I am going back to the revision questions that I posed. And I am going to start with quiz question 16. What is the result of the match between England and Zimbabwe back in 2000? The important part here, and I'm going to turn the volume off. The important part of this particular scenario, as I mentioned, is in the scorecard. The scores are equal. Okay, both sides, if you add up their first innings and their second innings, scored 610 runs. But a match will only be a tie if all the innings have been completed and the scores are level. So yes, the scores are level, but have all the innings in this match been completed? No, they have not. England's second innings, which was the last innings of the match, they scored 204 for the loss of 6 wickets. So because England was not all out in the fourth innings of the match, this innings is not considered a completed innings. That is why this match is a draw and not a tie. If England were 204 all out in the second innings, then that would have been a tie. But because they were only 6 wickets down, the innings was not completed, That is why it is a draw and not a tie. Okay, I hope all of you understood that concept. I will check your answers after I've given you all the quiz question answers. The next quiz question was to do with this instant of short running. So we need to first determine, is this unintentional short running by Tim David or is it deliberate short running by Tim David? Well, if we look at the scorecard at the bottom of the screen, it will give us an idea of whether or not it is deliberate. Tim David is considered one of the best finishers in world cricket. And he was batting in the 20th over of a T20 innings in a Big Bash League match. You can see there that he was on 19 runs of 10 deliveries. And Ellis, his partner, was new to the crease, hadn't faced a delivery yet. And there were 2 balls remaining in the innings when Tim David deliberately ran short so that he could face the last ball of the innings. Okay, so where you have a good top order batter or a good striker of the ball batting with a lower order batter that could or could not be new to the crease, that top order batter or that big hitter will try and keep the strike by running 2 runs. And Tim David saw that he was not going to make it back safely because of Glenn Maxwell's good arm. And that is why he deliberately ran short. Okay. So what is the punishment for deliberate short runs? Firstly, we disallow all runs to the batting side. So answer to quiz question 18.1, how many runs are scored by the batting side? 0. No, none. And then the second punishment for the deliberate short run, we award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. We hold our opposite shoulder. We don't tap it. If we tap it, that would be 5 penalty runs awarded to the batting side. So here we need to hold our opposite shoulder to award 5 penalty runs to the fielding side. Therefore, answer to quiz question 18.2 is 5. Okay. I hope you guys all got that one correct. Cool. So that is the of my presentation for this evening, and I've answered the quiz questions for you. I'm now going to go into the chat box to see if we have any questions related to the content that we have delivered this evening. And firstly, I'm going to activate your guys' mic cameras for any of you who want to see and be seen. And then when we open the floor up for live questions, then I will activate your microphones. So Kennedy Bauman asks, please explain the time frame of the ball being dead after it is bowled. So Kennedy, we will go through that in detail in Wednesday's lecture, which includes law 20, which is the dead ball law. But to give you a quick answer, it is really up to the bowlers and umpire for them to consider the ball to be dead. And how do we consider the ball to be dead? We should look at the body language of both the fielding side and the batters at the crease. Have they considered the ball to be dead? And if all the players have considered the ball to be dead, if no running is being attempted and no run out is being attempted, then yes, we can all consider the ball to be dead. So there isn't a specific duration that we need to count to 5 seconds or 10 seconds. No, it is merely the body language of the players that will determine whether they feel the ball is dead. And if they all consider the ball to be dead, then we as the umpires will consider the ball to be dead. Zocho asks, can you declare even if the over is not finished, like it's over 40.4, can they declare, or must they wait until the end of an over 41 in this example? Zocho, the law simply says that you can declare when the ball is dead. So when the ball is dead at over 40.4, then yes, if the batting team feel that they have enough runs on the board, the captain can call them in. Quite often you find that a declaration is made when one of the batters reaches a milestone. So if they were waiting for their top batter to get to 100, it doesn't have to be at the end of an over. As soon as the ball is dead, after the batters got to 100, the captain will call the batters in. So no need to wait until the end of an over to declare. 187 was the score in South Africa versus Afghanistan match, the tied match. Thank you very much, Samir. So answers to quiz question 16. I see draw, I see draw, I see draw, I see one tie. Tie is incorrect as I've described. Most of you answered draw. Well done. And then the answers to quiz question 18.1 is 0 runs to the batting team, 5 penalty runs awarded to the fielding team. And you seem to have all got that one correct. Well done to most of you. I see a 1 run that is incorrect. If it was a unintentional short run, then 1 run to the batting side would have been scored. But it is quite clear that Tim David deliberately ran short in that scenario. So disallow all those runs. Okay. Denroy says we didn't see the umpires award the penalty runs. Denroy, we want the correct answer to the scenario. We don't often, what I do with my scenarios, I don't show what the umpires have signaled if they do signal something. Whenever we ask quiz questions, we are not worried about what the umpires did. We worried about what the umpires should have done. Okay. Okay, looking through the rest of your answers, most of you got 0 for the batting side and 5 for the fielding side. Well done. Jean-Pierre Ville asks, why can't a bowler bowl 2 consecutive overs? Jean-Pierre, that is just one of the laws of cricket. No specific reason for it. It's just how it's always been and how it probably always will be, except in the 100, which is a format of the game that is played in England, where they bowl sets of 5 deliveries, not 6 balls constituting an over. And according to the playing conditions, a bowler can bowl 2 sets consecutively from the same end. But that is not in the laws of cricket. That is in the playing conditions of the 100 competition that is played in England. Sandeep Paul says, inform the captain of the fielding side of what has occurred. Inform other umpire of what has occurred. Yes, Sandeep, if there is a 5 penalty runs awarded for unfair play or for misconduct or for deliberate short running, as we've seen. You always need to inform everybody and also report the incident to the governing body in charge of the match. Nagendra says, in the second scan, I'm not sure what that means, the number of prescribed overs have been completed. So this is not a tie. So I think he's referring to the England against Zimbabwe match. In the second innings of England, the number of prescribed overs for the day have been completed, yes. But that does not mean the innings is completed. So yes, that is why it is not a tie, it is a draw. Bhavi Modi says, I am here in Gujarat, India. So how this course will be beneficial here? Any contacts? Bhavi, so what I'll do is I will go to our YouTube channel, Western Province Cricket Umpires Association, and I will find an interview that I did with Daitram Singh, who is an Indian umpire who was umpiring only recreational cricket in India before he joined Cricket South Africa's level 1 umpiring course online. He did the exam and he passed the exam, and after passing the exam he also decided to come to South Africa to umpire on our exchange program. And when he got back from from South Africa, he was here for 3 months. He was able to join the State Umpires Association in his state, Karnataka, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of his state. So what he mentioned is quite important, that in India there are a lot of people who want to become umpires, but there are only limited spaces available. So how do they pick which of these aspiring umpires will write the state umpiring exam and join the state panel of umpires? The Cricket South Africa level 1 certificate on Daitram's CV got him into the state panel exam. He passed the state panel exam, and then he was able to start umpiring club cricket in India because of his Cricket South Africa level 1 qualification. I hope that answers your question, Bhavi. Do we have contacts in Gujarat? I think we do. We have had candidates from Gujarat attending our courses in the past. And what I do, when you pass your exam, I will send you your certificate by email within 24 hours of you passing. And when I send you your certificate, I will ask every person individually, are you interested in starting umpiring? If so, where are you in the world? Which town or city, which state or province, which country? And through my network, I will be able to find out which is the nearest umpires association to you and what is the contact of that umpires association, so that you can apply to become a member of that umpires association. Neville asks, Team A scored 629 runs declared. Team B scored 320 for 8, and one of the batters got injured while batting and retired. He could not resume his innings. On the last ball of the match, Team B lost their 9th wicket. how should the statement of the result be in this scenario? So if it is just a 1 innings per side match, Neville, then it is the number of runs by which Team A exceeded Team B, because the team batting first won the match. So 629 minus 320 Team A wins by 309 runs. Question 2. Team A scored 340 for 5. Team B scored 340 for 7 when rain interrupted the play. Umpires later determined that the game cannot be resumed. How should the statement of the result be in this scenario? So scores are level, Neville, but do we have completed innings? 7 wickets are down in the second innings. It doesn't say that the second innings has been declared closed, so it is not a completed innings. Therefore, it won't be a tie. It will be a draw. I'm assuming this is an unlimited innings match. Sandeep asks or says, in case of unintentional short runs, as soon as he runs short, should the umpire call short run or wait until the ball becomes dead? So Sandeep, that's a very good question. I did mention it during my presentation. The law says that the umpire should wait until the ball becomes dead to call and signal short run. Okay. However, practically, what happens, I've seen it before, as soon as a batter runs short, if a fielder sees a batter running short, they are going to scream, short run, umpy, short run, umpy. So they want you to acknowledge the short run immediately. So not as per law, but good umpiring practice is as soon as you see a short run, call and signal short run. And then when the ball is dead, then you will call and signal. The bowlers and umpire will signal short run to the scorers. That first call and signal of short run is for the players on the field. You definitely do not turn to the scorers to call and signal short run as and when it occurs. You call and signal short run for the benefit of all the players on the field to know that there was a short run. Okay. Piyush says, yes, in test matches we get draws. We cannot get draws in 50 over matches. We will have ties if the scores are equal at the end of the second innings. Piyush says, sir, I am here in Haryana, India. So how this course will be beneficial here? Any contacts? Similar to the question asked about Gujarat, I have answered how this course is beneficial to umpires in India. Piyush, if you are currently a district umpire, it means you probably belong to an umpires association. So keep going. I am sure that if you do level 1 with us and you pass, do level 2 with us and you pass, do level 3 with us and you pass, you will probably proceed to higher club cricket matches or club district matches in your association because of a higher qualification than other umpires in your association? I hope that answers your question. So Denroy asks, in limited overs, games will be determined by net run rate or Duckworth-Lewis-Stern. So Denroy, it all depends on the playing conditions for a tournament or a match. Yes, in most international matches around the world, the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern system is used for revising targets in the event of a reduced match. I, in fact, umpired a one-day domestic cup match in Pretoria or Centurion yesterday. It was the Titans against Boland, and the match had 3 rain interruptions, and the first one was in the first innings, and the second and the third interruptions were in the second innings. And at the end of the first innings, the match was reduced to 28 overs. The Titans batted first, and their score was adjusted upwards. Why? Because they started batting with 50 overs in mind. After 9 overs, it rained, and then the match was reduced because of the rain down to 28 overs. So now, because those first 9 overs, they thought they were going to bat for 50 overs, they didn't go as hard as they would have if they knew that they were batting for 28 overs only. So the first Duckworth-Lewis-Stern adjustment was made at the close of the first innings. So I think they scored 235 runs in the 28 overs, and the target was adjusted up to 249 runs for Boland to win in 28 overs. So that was a Duckworth-Lewis-Stern adjustment. And then we had rain in the second innings, and the Boland ended up only batting for 22 overs because of the rain interruptions in the second innings. And obviously then the target was adjusted downwards because they had less overs than when they started. So yes, the Duckworth-Lewis-Stern method is used broadly across international cricket and professional cricket around the world to readjust targets in the event of reduced matches. NRR, net run rate, that is not to decide a result of a match. That is to decide the log positions in a group. If usually the playing conditions say if teams have the same amount of points, then you look at the number of wins. If they still have the same amount of wins, then you look at the amount of bonus points, if they do have bonus points in the competition. If they still have the same amount of bonus points, then you look at the net run rate to determine which team ends up higher in the log. And net run rate is a not a complicated calculation. I'll go through it simply as possible as I can. If South Africa score 200 runs in their 20 overs, their run rate is 10 runs to the over. If Zimbabwe score 100 runs in their 20 overs, their run rate is 5 runs to the over. And so South Africa, having won by 100 runs, they will have a net run rate of 10 minus 5 plus 5. And Zimbabwe will have a net run rate from that match of minus 5. I hope that is a brief description of net run rate and how it works. If minimum overs were bowled to constitute an innings, again, Denroy, that is dependent on the playing conditions. In 50-over cricket around the world, generally, if a match is reduced, you need both teams to have the opportunity to bat for 20 overs for a match to be constituted. Neville asks, an extra ball is bowled and a wicket falls on the extra delivery or runs are scored. How does it get reported on the scoreboard? Very good question, Neville. I would think that it is recorded as, if it is the 7th ball of the 7th over, then it will be 6.7. I'm not 100% sure. I will clarify that with you from a scorer in Western Province Cricket Scorers Association, and I will have an official answer for you on Wednesday. That would be my thinking, but I could be wrong. Maybe it's not allowed to have a more than 6.6 in terms of scoring. Piyush, if you want to come to South Africa to join a course, you will need a visa. Yes, you will need a visa if you're coming from India, Piyush. You want to come do umpiring in South Africa, please watch the lecture number 1 where Abdullah went through exactly how our exchange program works, and also watch the interview with Datrum, because he talks about how his exchange started and where he got to in South Africa at that point. He was in the country for a total of 3 months, and it was close to the last week of his stay in South Africa when I did that interview with him. Sandra Freak says, thanks for an informative evening. You're welcome, Sandra. Hope to see you again on Wednesday. Sandeep Paul says, in an ODI or a T20 match, if the umpire miscounted an over in 7th ball, it is a no ball, and after the ball delivered, the umpire realizes that it is the 7th ball. How will an umpire handle the situation? Where will the free hit be? Sandeep, there will not be a free hit. You will call over if you allow an extra delivery to be bowled and it is a no ball. Then you realize that that was an extra delivery. You will immediately call over. That delivery will count. The 1-run penalty for the no ball will count. Any runs scored in that delivery will count. If a wicket fell, then that wicket will stand. There won't be a free hit. The first ball of the next over, no. 2 wrongs don't make a right. So you will just not have a free hit in that scenario. Okay, I am now going to activate all of your microphones, and I'm going to give anyone an opportunity in the meeting room to raise their hands if they still have any questions to pose. I do not see any further questions or comments in the chat box. I do not see any hands raised in the meeting room. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your attendance and your interaction. This lecture has been recorded and will be posted in our YouTube channel tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. South African time. We will reconvene on Wednesday for lecture number 4. Same time, same place, same Microsoft Teams meeting link. Kartikeyan, you've got your hand up. Please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Hi, Tom, you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Kartikeyan from New Jersey. I heard one thing that you were explaining runs scored when the batsman was 98 and 1 run required to win, and he hit the ball and the ball goes to the boundary, and if the batsmen crossed each other before the ball passed the boundary, then 1 run is counted and the ball passes the boundary is ignored. So that means the batsman will be at 99 not out, correct?
If they complete the single before the ball reaches the boundary, then yes, the batter will be 99 not out and the match will end because that 1 run is the winning run required. However, if the ball crosses the boundary before they have touched down on the opposite ends to complete this single, then the boundary will be scored and the batter will get to 102 runs. So it's not when they've crossed, it's when they complete the single by grounding their bat or person beyond the popping crease at the opposite end. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, but for some reason I was like, even if they reached and completed, it will be still a boundary because that 4 runs may be crucial for net run rate calculation and all. I was thinking 4 runs will be calculated, but now I think I understand more precisely. Thank you for your explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome, Kartikeyan. Next hand up is Neville. Neville, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, Neville. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
After completing the level 1 course, how will we be able to come South Africa?
How will you be what? Sorry?
After completing the level 1 course, how will we able to come South Africa?
Piyush, I will go back to the slide that Abdullah presented on our exchange program and I will show it to everybody. And I'll talk you through it. So Piyush, you need to come to South Africa on holiday,
Yeah.
okay? And
Okay.
you're going to apply for a tourist visa. And when you have got your flights and accommodation booked, then you can inform myself and I will inform our match secretary that Piyush is coming from India and he's going to be in South Africa, Cape Town for 2 weeks or 2 months, however long you want to stay for. The maximum is 3 months on a visitor's visa. And we will appoint you to matches depending on the level of umpiring that you have umpired in your home country. And we will also consider which CSA qualification you have. Do you have level 1? Do you have level 2? Or do you have level 3? Please note that our season runs from October to March. There is a 3-week break for Christmas and New Year's from the 17th of December until the 7th of January. So there won't be any cricket during those 3 weeks, but the rest of our spring and summer months, there is cricket. We've given you accommodation options in terms of where in Cape Town to stay, where there are lots of cricket clubs based. And all you need to do is when you have all your bookings in place and your visa, let me know. I will send you a Western Province Cricket Umpires Association membership application form. And once you've filled in that application form, it goes to our match secretary, who will then appoint you to the matches that we feel that you are suitable to umpire. It's not a lot of money that you earn for umpiring club cricket. 175 rands for an under 11 T20 match. That is about $10 US. And then men's Premier League match, 500 rands. That is about 30 US. No, it's less than 30. Let me just do my maths quickly. 500 divided by the rate is 16 at the moment. It's about 31 US. Okay, and you'll be paid cash after your last match, less 500 South African rands for subscriptions, membership fee. And if you have gotten any Western Province Cricket Umpires Association clothing, then the payment for that clothing will be taken off your match fees. The best way to travel around Cape Town when you are visiting and going to matches is to use Uber. And please note, we do not provide any visa, accommodation, or travel assistance. We don't type out letters of invitations for umpires to come to Western Province. As I mentioned, you need to apply for a tourist visa to come to South Africa. Okay, I hope that answers your question, sir. Piyush.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, we have still got 3 hands up in the meeting room, but I think the first Kartikeyan has had a chance. Neville, please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours.
Yes, Tom, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. So, Tom, the question that I asked about the statement of the results, right? So for the second one, in terms of this would be one inning match limited by time. So in that case, the first question, would that be, because that would be the last ball, would the result be as a draw?
That's correct. It's similar to that England versus Zimbabwe test match. It was restricted by overs in the day. Yours is restricted by time. The innings is not complete. The match is complete, but the innings is not complete. That is why it's a draw and not a tie. For a tie to happen, then both innings or all innings in the match need to be completed. Does that make sense, Neville?
Yes, sir, it does. So in this case, if it's not mentioned anything for such a question, then as you gave the answer in first that it would be team A won by 309 runs, that would be the appropriate statement. But when it comes to one inning limited by time, in that case, the result would be a draw.
Correct. Correct.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Sandeep Paul, you've got your hand up. Please unmute your microphone. The floor is yours. Sandeep, are you still with us? It looks like Sandeep is no longer with us or is unable to unmute his microphone. If you can hear me, Sandeep, it looks like you've unmuted. Go ahead.
Am I audible?
Yes, you're quite low, but please try and speak up.
Okay, Tom, thank you. Tom, I would ask one question. Do I split the level 2 exam if I cleared the level 1 exam? If yes, how much is the exam fee and when it will be conducted?
So Sandeep, amount you need to pay for the exam if you are not in South Africa is $30 US, and you must please pay that using PayPal. On the email with the course material and logistics, there is a link to our PayPal account. I can also just put it into the chat box. The deadline for the payment for the exam is on the 25th of March. A lot of people thought it was the 25th of February. No, the deadline for paying for the exam is the 25th of March. Everybody who pays for the exam needs to email their proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za. And everybody who emails their proof of payment to training@wpcua.co.za will receive on Thursday, the 26th of March, they will receive from Umpires Universe a registration email, which will include an exam link. You click on that exam link, it will take you to the Umpires Universe website. On that registration email, you'll have your username and password. You log in and you attempt the exam anytime in the 10-day exam window period from the 26th of March to the 5th of April. In the morning, in the afternoon, at night, at home, at school, in your office. It is an open book exam and you have up to 5 attempts to achieve the pass mark of 80%. 69 questions. Some of them are true or false. Some of them are multiple choice questions. I hope that answers your question, Sandeep.
Tom, actually, I asked you for a level 2 exam. Actually, I know everything about level 1. If I eligible for to see that level 2 exam.
So level 2 will start on Tuesday, the 7th of April. There will be 6 lectures, Tuesdays and Thursdays, all in April. And the exam is going to be closed book, but it will still be online. And it will be, you'll have 2 options to choose from. You don't have 5 attempts, you only have 1 attempt for the level 2 exam. It will be on Thursday, the 30th of April, or Saturday, the 2nd of May. Those are the 2 exam date options for level 2. But Sandeep, you need to pass level 1 first, okay? One step at a time.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Sandeep. And Pardon put a question into the chat box. What was the answer to the first quiz question? England versus Zimbabwe was a draw. It was not a tie because England's second innings was not a completed innings. Okay. Thank you so much for everybody for attending and interacting in this lecture. We will meet up for lecture number 4 on Wednesday, the 4th of March, 6 p.m. South African time. Until then, have a great week further. Thank you and goodbye.